Alright, so this video is on celibacy, and in MGTOW it can be something to consider that would make your life significantly more stress-free and self-contained, where you don't need um, like intimate reaction with women at all. You've been in a relationship, things have gone south, you moved on, you want to do your own thing. One of the problems with um, one of the things that occurs is that you still want to have sexual activity, but you're not in a relationship. And there's several ways to do that. Obviously, you guys pornography from masturbation, sex toys. If you're charismatic enough, you can pick up women, use them for sex, either using dating apps or on the street. However, and of course prostitution. Um, but those things can lend itself to some issues. You could get somebody pregnant. You can catch a disease. And the cycle of sexual activity never stops. You get horny, you get that climax, you crash, kind of like a sugar rush. You get that sugar high, you crash. After a while, you crash, and you got to keep repeating it over and over and over again. Nothing changed sexually. And if you're attuned to your body before, during, and after, and you look at the cycle, you will notice that yourself. And even though it is a duty of a woman to satisfy her husband sexually, the issue that can come up because of this monogamy thing, which is abnormal in itself, all this stuff comes from lust, selfishness. Sex in itself has been skewed or corrupted to be something more selfish than selfless. It used to be sex was about giving pleasure, and you take pleasure in return by giving pleasure. Your pleasure comes from giving pleasure, not in receiving pleasure. And a lot of that has been lost over the years. If you looked at all the religions, I don't know if they're all the religions, but at least in the Hindu religions, it talks about giving pleasure, not as a duty really, and you take pleasure in giving in pleasure, and you see the pleasure that your partner is having, and that in turn gives you pleasure. That's how that's supposed to work. The Catholic Church, even though abstinence is a tradition, it's not necessarily, or celibacy is a tradition, it's not a law. The idea of it came, I think, from Saint Augustus here, or Saint Augustine, who asked God to make him celibate, and for some reason he was able to do that, but he had to want that. The current Pope mentioned that it's a tradition. Priests are not forbidden to get married. It's just something they practice. So it's not for everybody. You can still be a priest and be married. But in modern times, if you're a man and you're going your own way, it's MGTOW, you're into the philosophy of MGTOW, this is one of those things that you need to consider, or you should consider. Rather than repeating the cycle with, you're not in a relationship, you're not married, but you're out here and you're still interacting with women, rather than repeat that same cycle, consider celibacy. Now, if you're young, or or lust, or you're really distracted by lust and self-satisfaction sexually, it's going to be tough, but you got to want it. If you don't want it, it wouldn't work for you, and you'll be disgruntled. And again, in MGTOW, you can't, if you're disgruntled, MGTOW really isn't for you. Now, I have found from my personal experience that celibacy, complete abstinence from all those things, it's more like eating like a high fat, high protein diet. Your energy level is stable all the way through for longevity. So, and the more you practice it, abstinence and celibacy, the less spikes you have as far as sugar spikes, so glycemic index spikes, that you have in sexual horniness, or desire. It does not mean that you're not attracted to women. You're still going to be attracted to women. You just don't have that sexual drive. The drive is there, but you don't have that sexual tension where you do dumb stuff or you look for the quick fix. It actually allows you to really study that particular woman, see what she's about without the distraction of sex. Um, no, I'm not saying go out there and date women and blow your money just dating, not looking for anything in return, just observing. I'm not saying that. Because if a woman is really into you, she will not present herself as an expense. So that's something you got to think about. Um, but abstinence is something that you should consider. You know, don't try and test yourself to see if it's working. Just stay away from sexual activity, sexual stimulation. 3 or 4 weeks will pass. If you're able to get past the first 3 or 4 weeks, you should be good. But you have to want it. If you don't want it, it won't work for you. And MGTOW in itself won't work for you, because men going your own way, um, again, you can go your own way completely, but if you still interact with women, it's not truly MGTOW. And I do not recommend staying away from women completely in that regard. You should always be open to having a relationship if the right person comes along. If you're that rigid in MGTOW, man, more power to you. But it's a lonely life. Yeah, you may have your friends and your hobby, but your hobbies. But after a while, you're gonna get old. You might hopefully already have some kids that will grow up and they'll be there. But I don't suggest MGTOW as a sense of being single or be a bachelor forever. It's just a mindset that you're not going to take crap. Even if you're in a relationship, you're still going your own way. You're doing your own thing. So after about 3 or 4 weeks, you should be fine. Sexual spikes less and less. Wet dreams disappear completely. After a while, you don't ejaculate like in your sleep or just involuntarily. It just doesn't happen. Your sexual organs don't shut down. You'll still get a hard on. I believe the body absorbs the sperm, reabsorbs the sperm when it's full, and then you make new sperm. But that spike in horniness, it goes away. And from my personal experience, I find that way of life, and I currently live that way, to be very gratifying. I don't know how to put it. There's no stress. I don't have any urgency at all. And I don't know if that has to do with my age. I'm still, these things I'm talking about as far as the bodily function, I still experience those things, but I'm not having no ejaculation, none of that stuff, no wet dreams, none of that. So if you have questions, ask it in the comment section down below, because this topic is really dense. The practice of it is kind of like a yoga practice. If you want to look at it from a spiritual perspective, I can't really tell you which one because I'm not a yogi. But I don't meditate. I don't do none of that stuff. I just knew that being sexually active was not satisfying at all, especially since I've gone my own way. And this way has made life completely satisfying, fulfilling. I'm happy. I'm not lonely at all because I don't need it. I don't need to climb off this climax. I don't need to shoot my load and come down. So I'm not lonely. That lust brings a lot of loneliness to relationships, because lust is a skewed version of love or sexual intimacy. It's a selfish perspective that mankind has adopted, men and women in modern times, that is pretty much destroying relationships. But Again, I'll try to keep this video short, so like, subscribe, share the video if you think it has some meaning. If you have questions, again, ask it in the comment section down below. You all have a good day.